the time it comes around, maybe that passion has died and it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know, a lot of scripts float around Hollywood for years and years and years. Like, you know,
Freddy versus Jason.
Freddy versus Jason has been floating around since the 80s, and we didn't get it until 2003. Imagine what those scripts would have looked like if they would have made it in 1992 or whatever.
God.
You know what I mean?
Imagine,
it would have been totally fucking different. Like,
yeah.
the entire scenery would have been different. The kids would have been different because it would have been a different culture. You wouldn't have had that early 2000s teen culture. You would have that late 80s, early 90s culture, which I think would fit better for these two icons because they made their most funnest kills and their most funnest movies in the fucking 80s and early 90s.
Did you know about the original ending for Freddy vs. Jason?
I probably did, but I probably put it in the back of my mind. I don't know.
It just came up again on TikTok the other night. They were supposed to wind up in hell together, and that's when they would have ran into Hellraiser. That's apparently what they wanted, like how they wanted the movie to end, was with Hellraiser.
Well, I'm kind of glad they didn't because I don't think that introducing Hellraiser to that franchise, I don't know, we've said this before. We're okay with Freddy vs. Jason, but the movie should have been a lot more than it is. And in my opinion, if they would have done that, it would have been so much expectation, and I don't think anybody who was around the franchise at the time could have done justice to any of that shit. It would have been a poor attempt. They should just stick to comic books because they can do their fantasy world. It translating to film and camera, no.
A three-way, baby. Three-way. We're gonna have Freddy versus Jason versus Pinwheel and a midget beating off on a trash can, baby. It's gonna be live and wild.
Well, speaking of Freddy, loudersound.com has ranked their Nightmare on Elm Street movies in order. And I thought this was pretty fucking interesting because it is drastically different from our list.
Oh, God. I bet you Wes Craven's like 2 or 1.
Number 9 is Freddy's Dead from 1991.
You know, okay, I want to talk about these as we go along. Freddy's Dead is enjoyable.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
I get a lot of enjoyment from Freddy's Dead. It gets a lot of hate.
Besides Dream Warriors, it was one probably I rented the most from the movie theater.
Same.
So.
I mean, we quote that just as much as any other Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. So number 8 is Nightmare 5, The Dream Child from '89.
Love that one too.
Well, I actually have no problem with that one being where it's at.
Yeah, I don't mind that one.
Number 7, the 2010 remake, which would be at the bottom of my list. That would have been number 9.
You're telling me that the remake was better than those two movies?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, that don't fly with
this
me.
one is really shocking. At number 6, they put Nightmare 4, The Dream Master from '88, which is one of my favorites. I think
that's criminally low.
Yeah, it's criminally low. Then at number 5, they have Nightmare 2, Freddy's Revenge at 85.
Wow. That one gets a lot of poo-poo on it too, but...
And speaking of number 4, Freddy vs. Jason 03.
That's way too high.
Way too high. Like you said, Wes Craven's New Nightmare comes in at number 3.
Figured.
Dream Warriors comes in at number 2, and the OG Nightmare is number 1 on their list.
I don't hate that. I thought they was gonna go Wes Craven number 1, the original number 2, and Dream Warriors number 3. I think the cult knows, our favorite is Dream Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
Yeah, their 1 and 2 are basically switched with me. Dream Warriors is 1,
Pretty much.
OG is number 2. So, it is what it is.
It's not that bad, but not putting the remake last. I thought that was like universally like agreed upon us in the horror community that that remake is dog shit.
Yeah, like you said, a couple things from this list. I think Freddy's Dead doesn't get love. I think Nightmare 4 on here was criminally underrated. Nightmare 2 doesn't get enough love, and you know, the fact that the remake was not last tells you that somebody enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that played Freddy did pretty good in that movie.
Jackie Earle Haley is a wonderful actor. He was just not suited for this role at all.
He was set up for failure, honestly.
Well, it was not just him. I mean, of course, his makeup just looked shitty, but the script itself was just not very interesting. The thing about the original Nightmare movie is that you meet these characters. You meet Johnny Depp's character, and you meet Heather Langenkamp as Nancy, and like you develop a relationship with these characters. Like, they're likable, and nobody in the remake was likable. Everybody was just this sad fucking Igor. What's his name?
Eeyore.
Eeyore, yeah, they were a sad emo Eeyore.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. Like, why should I care if Freddy kills you if you look like you're going to take a bunch of sleeping pills and kill yourself?
It was like watching them. They're like, I want to die. And then we're in the audience like, we want you to die.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I mean,
that's how I felt.
Then you add, it was kind of like, then they add the whole child molester thing, which, Wes Craven cut that out of his original script because he knew that we don't need to go that direction. Well, the 2010 went that direction, and it was a giant wet fucking fart.
Yeah.
Boo.
Not a fan of it.
Not a fan. But,
not a fan.
Speaking of something that I am a fan of, this is pretty interesting. Bloody Disgusting. I don't know if you know this, but they have their very own podcast network, and it's called Bloody FM.
Hey, hire us.
Well, they did hire somebody, and they added a brand new podcast, and the podcast is called Talk Scary to Me, which is an awesome fucking title, by the way. But even
Talk Scary to Me?
Yeah, but even more awesome than the title of that is the host of this new series.
But it's not us.
It's not us. I don't know. We might be slightly more awesome, but it's hosted by Halloween franchise stars Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton.
Oh, God. Okay, I got a problem with that. Of course people are going to, tune into that because they're hot.
Well, yeah. And they also have the fucking resume to talk about horror films.
Yeah, but I don't think that they got them for. God.
Well, first of all, they already had this podcast. This was just Bloody Disgusting throwing money at them, saying, "Hey, bring your podcast to our network."
Hey, well, God damn it, I want more money.
I want more money. But speaking of Scott Taylor Compton, she's going to be starring in a new Christmas horror movie called A Creature Was Staring, and it's going to be in limited theaters December 8th, video on demand December 12th, and the trailer is out now. I have not checked this out, but I'm interested in it. I think that's a great title, A Creature Was Staring. That's a pretty good, usually when you get these Christmas horror films, it's something, Christmas Evil, all through the night, blah, blah, blah. A creature. It's not A Creature Was Staring, but A Creature Is Staring, which is pretty cool, which tells me it's going to be a monster movie.
It's a mutant mouse.
I hope so. I hope so.
We'll see.
Well, I want it.
Hang on. I got a little bit more news.
You got more?
I got more news. I forgot. Sorry, people.
Fuck?
This is what happens when you get old. Speaking of Versus movies, I don't know if you've heard the news, but there's a new Versus movie in the works.
What is it?
I don't know how it's going to work, but there is talks about Megan versus Chucky.
That sucks. Don't like it. Chucky is already a fucking joke. If you watch the TV series, you'll know that. If you watch the later films, you'll know that. Chucky has basically went from being an iconic doll to being an iconic doll that has a lot of suck-ass shit attached to it. And the reason why it's popular is the reason why it sucks.
Yeah. Well,
Child's Play 1 through 3 is where it's at, man.
Yeah. Well, I would say Bride.
Bride started the down spiral.
It did start the down spiral, but it's still an enjoyable movie.
A decent. It's kind of like Jason X.
Yeah, it's Jason X, but better. My problem with that is that Megan is PG-13 and Chucky is rated R. And
I honestly, if you ask my opinion on it, I would rather have Megan 2.
Oh yeah, we're getting Megan 2, but Megan 2 might lead to Megan versus
I don't
Chucky.
like it. I don't like it one fucking bit.
Well, the director of Chucky is very excited about this and is throwing hints everywhere. So the possibility of this is pretty fucking astronomically high at this point.
I hate it. I hate it.
So you're going to get this killer massive robot that is like leaps and bounds better than Chucky. And you get where I'm going. Chucky, if you haven't watched the new season all the way, I found the courage in me to get through Chucky season 2, which I don't recommend. I'm in Chucky season 3, and I'm up to date now. But Chucky is human because Dembala has abandoned him at this point, and he's like getting old and losing his hair, and he's not immortal anymore. But the thing that I've thought for the whole storyline of Chucky is really fucked at this point. But I thought he was already human. Like at this point, being in the doll too long, you turn human.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the movies. That's the point
Right.
when he says, "I got to get out of this goddamn body."
Yeah, I
and
know.
then Bride of Chucky came along, and that storyline was thrown to the wayside and ran over twice, and now it smells like shit.
I guess that's what happened. I'm not sure.
But I already see the fucking storyline if they go ahead with this Chucky Megan shit.
What do you think?
Chucky's going to be stalking some kid, and the fucking Megan's going to be the one defending the kid.
Oh, they're going to make...
they're probably going to make Megan like this kind of Terminator.
Oh, boy. They're going to flip it.
Yeah, that's what
They're
I
going to
say.
fucking ruin
Because,
Megan.
other words, how else would this be even a contest? Like you said, Megan's like this robot. It can do anything. And if Chucky
control everything.
You know what? It's probably one of those things where if they do it, oh, you did watch Chucky season 3. Yeah, we're just going to discard everything about that. He's now just like the killer doll again, not human.
I don't know if they're going to go that route.
Boo! Bullshit. Major league bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not too excited about that. I don't know. The versus movies it's a very tricky genre in itself. Me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Freddy versus Ash or Ash versus somebody at this point, like a last shebang. Me personally, if they were gonna make a versus movie,
I don't even want to see that.
What would you? Okay,
because the Ash character is not serious enough. The Ash character, it was never serious enough to go up against a real horror icon. That's why they made their own little world. Ash is a comedic relief character. I mean, yeah, he's badass, but it only fits in that Evil Dead world. Like, Ash would not fit in the new Evil Dead universe. Like, if Ash was in that new Evil Dead Rise movie, it wouldn't be nearly as good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's why I said Freddy.
Well, I mean, yeah,